jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
What up, it's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and right now you tune in to World Combat Sports.
Good afternoon. WCS back on the boulevard once again. What's good, everyone? Shout out. I cannot, for some reason, see anybody in the building with StreamYard. First on deck, man, big blunts and boxing in the building. Let's get it. Salute, OG. Comeback, what's good? What's good with it? Blunts. My guy, Deion Washington on deck, man. Judges put that Saturday night special 38 snug nose on Venezuela last night. It's time for judges to be banned from the sport. I had it at least 117, 110. Samar Warren on deck, man. Peace and blessings below. Salute WCS. Salute to you, Samar. L Dog on deck. Salute to you, L Dog. What's good? Stickum Boys Fishing and Sports on deck. Trying to wait for more people to get in here. For some reason, I was trying to figure out why I can't see the viewers over here on my string, y'all. But let's get down to it. Let's rock. Big shout out to the ones that's on deck today, man. The supporters, man. You already know it's much appreciated. You know what it is, man. Shout out to the OG, man. Retro boxing and documentaries in the building, man. Salute to you. Hit the like button when y'all on deck. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. So we finally had the fight night we was looking forward to yesterday. It finally blessed us, y'all. It finally blessed us. I'm not gonna lie. The fight night was pretty fantastic. You know, I had to put fantastic up there. I liked it for the most part. You know what I'm saying? You had the main event, Benavidez versus Plant. And then, you know, I picked what fight that I enjoyed, you know, the most when it comes to controversy. A whole fight card can't go off without the hocus pocus. So let's get to Benavidez Plant first. All right. No. Why would I do that? Why would I try to put Colbert, you know, as the main event? Colbert and Valenzuela is the main event when it comes to the live stream talking points. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about Chris Colbert, Josue Valenzuela, El Rayo. Okay, Valenzuela came in at 12-1. Chris Colbert 16-1. Both of them was coming off losses. Valenzuela was stopped. You know what I'm saying? And Chris Colbert suffered a knockdown, but he was outperformed in there against Hector Luis Garcia. I believe Valenzuela was stopped in the third round, which was bad considering he had an extensive amount of hype behind him as an up-and-coming rising prospect, so to speak, or, you know, contender, because Valenzuela, to be honest, he's not a prospect. And then you had Chris Colbert. He was going in there for a title eliminator to face Roger Gutierrez, and he pretty much, it's almost like they didn't look at any film on Garcia. He might have taken Garcia lightly, but he himself went in there and lost a unanimous decision. So you take the little bit of experience, you know, the little bit of gap that they have between the experience of winning, and you know, you have to say to yourself that Chris Colbert had the slight edge in that perspective, and also fighting in a title eliminator to fight for a world championship. Last night is almost watching Chris Colbert begin where he left off. That's what it looked like in the beginning. It looked like Chris Colbert came in here and took his opponent a little bit lightly than he should have. And he ended up touching the canvas in the first round. When Colbert was fighting Hector Garcia, he went down in the 7th round. And then, you know, he got on the mic after. He didn't want to get knocked out. So pretty much he was telling us he fought a smart fight. I don't blame the man, you know, for fighting a smart fight. But with all that talking he was doing, I felt that he should have went and threw the kitchen sink in there, all or nothing, to try to test his mettle, to try to test his fortitude. He didn't do it. He lost a unanimous decision. So coming into the fight last night, I just felt like it was a perfect matchup. Both of these fighters are coming off a loss. Valenzuela a little bit more brutal than Colbert because he was stopped, obviously, in the 3rd round. I like the opening part and both fighters exchanging early, and Valenzuela was able to land his left hand and knock Colbert down. It was a clean, clear, concise knockdown that Valenzuela landed on Colbert. Colbert was hurt some bad. He was hurt some bad, but I do commend Colbert, even though I don't like him, for getting off the canvas and showing his warrior spirit. He showed his Philly spirit. Okay, Philly spirit. He got up and he survived the onslaught and started to box, started to get into his rhythm with Valenzuela. I mean, I like what I was looking at. Though I thought Colbert was just outside distance on a lot, like he was unwilling to engage. He might not be 100% confident in his chin. I'm gathering a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? He's not 100% comfortable in his chin. So he chooses to kind of fall back and be the counterpuncher when he can actually be the aggressor. But you know how it goes with that, and you have to make the proper adjustments, right? And Valenzuela early on showed his range, showed his confidence. He showed that he was willing to mix it up in there early with Colbert. He's not a power puncher. Neither one of these guys are a power puncher. But if you're looking at the punch stats, you will see where Valenzuela landed the most power punches out of the two. Now, as far as jabs, keeping that distance, what I'm saying, playing it safe a little bit. Chris Colbert, he won the war of jabs. All right. But really, when most of the points were scored between Colbert and Valenzuela is when the exchanges happened and he pushed him up against the ropes. Once Colbert back was against the ropes, Valenzuela had very good success with that. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't reckless either. He had very good success with pushing Colbert back up against the ropes. I seen this fight clearly with the engagement from both fighters, who was winning the exchanges majority of the rounds. I'm not saying Colbert didn't land any shots, but if I had to look at it, I had majority of those pockets where they had to exchange and get physical. I have to award Valenzuela the nod in majority of those exchanges. I have to give him the nod. I have to say he had the most effective exchanges. You know what I'm saying? That the judges can look up and say, okay, yeah, I got to award him that round because, he put his punches together. His combinations was much more delegated towards taking the round. Effective striking. Effective punch output. I just felt that Valenzuela did more during the fight. He made Chris Colbert uncomfortable. He continued to keep him right where he wanted him. And even when he was tired, he still was able to take minimal damage from Colbert. Even though Colbert did push the pace at times. But when Valenzuela caught him with a hard power shot, you can see how it played out in the ring. You can literally see Chris Colbert digressing. You know what I'm saying? He was digressing. He felt the punch. He let it be known. And Valenzuela will push forward and continue to try to finish the job. But like I said before, man, both fighters showed up and showed out. For real. I like the fight, but Chris Colbert got his ass beat last night. That's all I'm saying. He got his ass beat, y'all. Real talk. He got his ass beat. He got touched up real nice. You know what I'm saying? Ghost on deck. Salute to you. I see you. Morrell versus Benavidez or Andrade versus Benavidez. Both want that smoke. Let's go. Yes, sir. I'm pretty sure that's going to be on the table. They're going to be speaking on that real soon. Mr. Pass on deck. Peace OG Blood. Peace WCS. Salute to you. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Gumbo, a.k.a. Hot Grease, a.k.a. Mr. Sucker Free in the building with a $10 super chat. Much appreciated, brother. One love to you. Salute WCS, my big bro, and the chat family. Just passing through. Man, it's always a pleasure there, man. Good to see you on deck once again there, Gumbo, in the building. Salute to you. Much appreciate your support always, bro. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. Salute to you. The OG in the building. Salute, Mr. Gumbo, AK Hot Grease. He just reading off that. Shout out to Morning King Boxing on deck. So people gonna say what they want to say, right? About this fight, but the numbers don't lie, right? Because we hear about the numbers all the time. So, let me pull up the punch stats. And let's check out some punch stats on how this fight played out. I'm not going to go too far in depth as far as what's the obvious, right? Scott, I heard rematch and then no rematch. Well, if you're talking about Colbert, you know how Colbert get out. He always calling people a sucker, but he be acting like a sucker himself. I haven't even got into that. I'm trying to keep it classy because YouTube is just like tripping with demonetizing your videos now and limiting, you're putting your ad suitability on there every time you even mention something crazy. But if you look at the total punches landed per round from the first round, you can see where Valenzuela obviously was outlanded by Colbert. He had landed 11 out of 40 punches in the first round to Valenzuela 21 out of 60. You could tell, I'm talking about per the decision now. You could tell how the judges can get it wrong. You know what I'm saying? Valenzuela landed 21, Colbert landed 11. You can see how the judges was quite confused now. The second round, Valenzuela, I'm calling him Rayo. Rayo landed 9 to Chris's 12. Third round, 16 El Rayo, 15 Colbert. 15 round number 4, 15 for El Rayo, 14 for Colbert. Round number 5, 6 for El Rayo and 8 for Colbert. Sixth round, 23 for El Rayo and 10 for Colbert. Seventh round, 11 for Rayo and 21 for Colbert. And that was significant right there in round 7. You know what I'm saying? That's when, Rayo had to dig a little deep. You know what I'm saying? He was pushing the pace. He had to take a little time off. But you didn't see it as much. He still played it smart, especially when he spent Chris Colbert and reset some of the times, just didn't get caught park benching up against the ropes. Number 8, 16 to Colbert's 3. Number 9, 4 to Colbert's 17. Hold on for a second. Okay, so let's go to the jabs landed, because this way you can, give Chris Colbert the praise. Jabs landed in the first round. Well, matter of fact, round 10 with total punches landed, Rayo 11 and Colbert 13, right? So you go to jabs. They awarded Rayo 1 to Colbert 6. Three for Arroyo in the second, 5 for Colbert. So it looks with the jabs, it looks, like Colbert was active with the jabs, but we're talking about, did they land on the glove? Did they land, clean? We don't know. We don't know how to judge these copy box numbers. I mean, you can't take them as, you can't put them into evidence, the opening evidence, and find it to be totally correct. Round number 4, 5 jabs to Colbert's 3. In round 5, 0 jabs by Arroyo to Colbert's 3. Number 6, 0 jabs by Arroyo to Colbert's 5. Round number 7, 1 jab to Colbert's 2. Round number 8, 1 jab from Arroyo to Colbert's 0. Number 9, 1 jab by Arroyo to Colbert's 9. And round number 10, 2 jabs to Colbert's 9. Now, when you get to power punches landed, is where Valenzuela pretty much gapped him a little bit. If you're really the judge, this ringside looking at this fight, you would say to yourself, who's doing the most damage? Obviously, we seen Valenzuela get the early knockdown, and also we seen him hurt Chris Colbert during the fight. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to total punches landed, Valenzuela landed 132 out of 610. Colbert landed 124 out of 544. Power punches landed. Arroyo landed 117 out of 349. Colbert landed 77 out of 256. 77 vice 117. Arroyo landed 117 power punches, and Colbert landed 77. I talk about the hocus pocus for a reason, man, because depending on what the judges are watching, you can't figure out the dynamic. You can't, not the dynamic, the metric for which they're using when they're grading these fights. You can't figure it out, bro. Like, why have a copy box? Why have a copy box, right? And as hardcore boxing fans, right? You know very well where I'm going with this. As boxing fans, we clearly seen Valenzuela, to me, squeak out the last round, pull out the last round. We clearly seen that. But they give it to Chris Colbert. Let me see, can I get that card up right quick? And that's where boxing, will continue to have a swollen eye. Because when you clearly see a fighter in a close matchup win, a certain round that could be very, very influencing, it just reminds you on how boxing is what it is, how it continues to take black eyes, because a lot of us would say that Valenzuela won the last round, but they gave it to Colbert. They gave Colbert the last round. How is that possible? I don't know. How is that possible? Let me get back to the chat. Hold on for a second. Blunt said, terrible decision last night. I lost $50 to the boxing rumor starter, Ray Jackson. Wow. Well, at least he won something because the information he be putting out, that'd be false as heck, man. Colbert lost that fight, man. That's all I'm saying, man. When it boils down to us watching a fight, especially an important round like the last round, if it was close to begin with, right? He lost the round. Real talk. He lost that round clearly. And he was hurt in the final round. You trying to tell me just because the amount of seconds that was remaining in the round, you didn't score it? You know, as effective power punching, and that momentum swayed his direction in the final seconds of the fight? It did. He hurt Colbert again. If you look at the fight, Colbert kind of stumbled, a little bit. He was a little bit noodle-legged going over to his corner. He was, man. He was a little bit noodle-legged going over there, bro. He was. But they gave it to Colbert. It wasn't a travesty because thank God it wasn't a title fight. Thank God it wasn't a title fight. But clearly, the wrong man had his hand raised, and then the first thing he said, he wanna drop the N-word and be unprofessional, which in boxing, professionalism only stands for the sport that you compete in. Okay, you're a professional fighter on paper. But as far as having some type of decor and etiquette, that's not really expected in boxing. Boxing is a trash talking sport. You know what I'm saying? That's a trash talking sport. So we really don't expect fighters to go ahead and be sportsmen like we seen Plant and Benavidez after it was all said and done. You know what I'm saying? But Colbert, man, I told you he rubbed me the wrong way, man. Like seriously, I don't really get too close to dudes anyway, like that in this media game. I'll present myself and try to get the interview, but him, when he was down here, he was just super arrogant, bro. I mean, when you got a legend like Zab Judah right there and he's not acting that way, I don't know why you have to act that way. But he did the same thing, Rayo was pretty much standing his ground after the fight, and he was letting it be known that you didn't win, bro. I'm looking you in your eyes. I'm looking you in your face. I'm standing right here. You didn't win the fight. Admit it. Admit it. And you know how I always talk about Jim Gray, the Hall of Famer Jim Gray, right? How he asked the tough questions. He reminded me of my, pastor that I used to grow up with. Hold on for a second. Okay, shout out to Cam Edwards on deck, man. Salute to you in the building. Rayo got robbed. That's what we're talking about right now. Colbert is not a cool guy, but at the same time, it's not his fault on what the judge decided. He better take it as a blessing. True words, blood. I feel you on that. Definitely, it's not his fault, blood. And anybody else is in the chat. It's not Colbert's fault that he came in there and was exposed once again. It's not his fault that Valenzuela came out the better fighter that night and put hands and like Cam said, layeth hands. Valenzuela was in there laying hands on Colbert. And throughout the fight, he had the much more effective punishing pockets of the fight that you can score if you was a judge from MMA. If you was a soccer judge, if you was an amateur judge, they can look at this fight with little experience and give you a grading score of who won the fight. I mean, all they had to do is have clear vision, online sight, and basically look at it from the first round to the last round and say, okay, this is who I believe won the fight. But in boxing, I'm not too upset about it because it happens. And for El Rayo to take that loss, his second straight loss, yeah, it sucks. But it's one of those losses that morally he has a win, but on paper, administratively, he has a loss. So which one earns much more? Which one is more detriment to him as a fighter? The one on paper or the moral victory? You know what I'm saying? Of course, the one on paper is going to be much more detrimental because you have two reds lined up on your box rec. But the good thing about it, the crowd was booing tremendously. The crowd was booing tremendously. And I believe El Rayo picked up more fans than he had previously. And this is when a moral victory illuminates the brightest without being on paper, because they don't write down moral victory on your box rec, but it's always on camera. You know, the audio will always be there that they gave him the moral victory. They say, hey, Arroyo, we stand behind you. You won that fight. While Chris Colbert is going around just being him, bro. Just being him. That's all I can say about the brother. Just being him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just speaking from remote observation. I'm just speaking from dealing with this dude in person, you know, being in my city. And the way he, you know, is just unprofessional. Like he didn't even have a fight coming up. Hold on one. My fault, y'all. I had to take care of my son right quick. You know how that goes. Parental duties are full time. Let me get this copy box down from here because it's very disturbing. And if you look at it long enough, it'll just take you back in time over time to certain overlays that you can match this up to that have ruined boxers, you know what I'm saying, who've gotten robbed. But it's just a staple in the boxing metric on how they're grading, because you know, I have a live about this. I do it every now and then. I always talk about how in boxing you have judges, right? And they supposed to be like they're sworn in to serve and protect, no bias. But yet these judges are locked in with the commission and the promoters. And there's always an A and B side. It's always an A and B side to everything. And it just seems like this is one of those moments where they had to get Chris Colbert back on track to potentially set him up for another fight. and they picked and choose their more popular fighter. I guess, I don't know. I'm just assuming, but it's just like some of the boxing judges used to go over to mixed martial arts, and MMA was having fights that was being scored in the same fashion. The results was somewhat in the same fashion as we're talking about today, because they did not know, or they wasn't educated enough to understand what were they looking at, what were they grading. They was trying to score MMA like they were boxing, and they had to clean that up. That's when they start to try to implement actual athletes who compete in mixed martial arts, or who have competed in mixed martial arts, to better give an understanding of what you're assessing inside the cage. In this case, I mean, boxing judges can be individuals who had several fights they're judged. That doesn't mean they're a qualified judge. You know, sometimes these judges are distracted. Sometimes, you know, they understand what the orders are. We've seen it before. We've seen it before. We you know, we'll have an outcry of emotion of our disdain when it comes to a fighter being robbed. But even from a consumer standpoint, there's nothing we can do about it. We can just take it on the chin like the fighter who was robbed and keep it moving. We can't do anything about it. It's really no HR department. It's no head commission. It's really no president that the team can write to voice their grievances. It's nothing, people. Nothing. I'm a stand-up nigga. I pay my bets, but that issue was crazy. Rayo should not have left it in the judge's hand. What more could he have done? Break his hand? Like, real talk. Let's be honest there, Blanche. Rayo is not a power puncher like that. He was landing some very solid shots on Colbert, but he's not a power puncher like that. You know what I'm saying? So the next possible method or he could have taken is just to, you know, get a little bit more, take a little bit more risk in the latter rounds, and try to see what happens, see what the results is. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing he could have done. He's not a power puncher. Chris was still swinging for the fences. So you never know what a fighter is thinking when it comes down to a fight of that magnitude. That was very important not to pick up that second straight loss in a row. It was very important. But I do feel what you're saying, Blunts. Cam say, one love to WCS and everyone in the chat. The apostles in the building to layeth the hands and spread the good news of boxing. Amen. On a Sunday. You already know, Cam. Salute to you, brother. Then I beat that boy Adrian Broner voice. Man, you know, Chris Colbert has a long ways to go, Dion. You know, you're talking about they had the pistol. Yeah, for sure. They had that Saturday night special, man. They had the pistol out, and you know, Colbert got his gift, his early Christmas. It happens in boxing, but Colbert should appreciate it. I mean, he should adore that they looked out for him the way they did. And yeah, his mentality probably would have been on there and said, I beat that boy and all that, man. Hey, that's who he is. But obviously, Rayo was on some different type of time. I like how Rayo took off the shirt and he was about that smoke. I liked it, bro. I liked it. See, I like the fight in general. Both fighters came in at a fight. But of course, Colbert was exposed once again. You know what I'm saying? He was exposed early once again. He came out cold, and Rayo put that heat to him. He should have warmed up more, whatever the case may be. But Rayo put that heat to him, warmed him up real nice. Real nice. Real nice. Rayo needs to be a better finisher. I can't see him getting past Frank or Tank. So we want to talk about Frank Martin and Tank in the same sentence. It'll be interesting with the Frank Martin. It'll be interesting. I see him have a much more competitive fight if he was fighting Frank Martin. No way, shape, or form will I put Frank Martin or Tank in the same conversation as if I level their performance values as equal or their skill set. I know where you're getting at, Bunch. I'm just saying I don't put Frank Martin in the same conversation as Tank. Seriously, I don't even put Devin Haney in the same conversation as Frank. Like, I'm still waiting on him. Come on, we can't look at Jackson Marinez, bro. We can't look at Michelle Rivera. And then I don't want to fire off that ultimate question that we always send down range. Who has he fought? So he's still pretty much in the same dominion as Chris Colbert, El Rayo. You know what I'm saying? He's still trying to make his way up. He's still trying to make his way up, bro. I would like to see him fight Keyshawn or somebody. Keyshawn is still building up the ladder of professional wins and building up his experience in the lightweight division. I mean, yeah, no doubt. But I just don't. Who has Frank Martin really fought? Michelle Rivera was in the same position as Frank Martin when they fought. He wasn't even established. He just had a name and a look. I thought Rayo was going to knock Colbert out when they was face to face after the fight. Hey, man, I like that energy, Blunts. I like when Rayo took his shirt off, man. He was pretty much saying, you know, I'm about to be on my Zab Judah time. When Zab Judah was lost his fight against Costa Zoo and he choked Jay Needy, they was on his Zab Judah time. Zab wasn't trying to listen to nobody. He wasn't trying to hear nothing. El Rayo is a bit more the karma storm. All his energy and everything build up on the inside. He was just waiting for the right moment to really, you know, let some controversy out, you know, express himself, vent. You could tell he wanted to do it. You can tell Rayo was on that time. He wanted to do it. He wanted it. He wanted more smoke, bro. It wouldn't have been good for him to do that, of course. They definitely would have deducted some of his purse, but when he took off his shirt, man, he was like, "No, bro. No, you didn't win that fight, man. Admit to me that you didn't win." And that's how I was getting back to Jim Gray. Jim Gray admitted that it was a bad decision. So I respect Jim Gray for admitting that it was a bad decision, and El Rayo walking off saying, "I respect that." At first, he gave him the hard, you know, well, I asked the questions, you know, typical elder statesman type of, you know, response from Jim Gray, letting you know, you don't tell me to do my job. I do my job how I've been doing. It's my format, my format alone. So that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to, you know, Jim Gray admitting that it was a bad decision, I appreciate that from Jim Gray. Salute to you, Jim Gray. Salute to you. On everything, I was waiting for Rayo to take off on Colbert. Yeah, man, I was waiting. Look, where I'm from and where y'all from, I'm pretty sure somebody take off their shirt. Dude, you don't let them get it off. You don't let them get the shirt off, dog. If anybody you talking to and you know it's on that type of energy and they take off their shirt, you get them while they taking off their shirt, man. Come on, man. We ain't from Kansas, dog. We ain't waiting for goddamn Dorothy and Toto to walk around the corner and say, "Hey, Annie M, you heard of her? Where is she? We're just going to the candy lady to get some sweets." No, man. They take off that shirt. You take off when they taking it off. Shit. You don't wait for nobody to take off the shirt so they can goddamn feel a bit more loose and free. Shit. But you know how it is, man. Shout out to Rayo. You listening, man. You won that fight. Can't for real. I thought Rayo was gonna punch him. I'm not sure why Colbert acts like that. He's another one caught into thinking he's some celebrity or somebody he isn't. Hey, check this out, blood, man. Like, I don't know how many times, you know, you have to explain to certain people, like, especially my people, black people, as black men, right? Like, it's so much that people will say about us on the first reaction on how we treat one another. That's not for everybody, because I start people off at 100%. You know, that 100% respect doesn't have to be something that I'm searching for. It's just a transparent, you know, barrier that's up. Not even a barrier. It's just a transparency of courtesy that's out there. And if we do meet or whatever, it's up there. If we don't make any type of acknowledgement, it's still good. It doesn't mean anything, because I'm not going out here looking for acknowledgement from men. But when I saw Colbert down here at the boxing match, and I'm doing media on the red carpet, and I'm talking to Zab Judah, and Zab is up there, you know, Hall of Fame Zab Judah, being respectful. He was with his wife, being respectful. Chris Colbert came along, and then all call-outs are mandatory. So I forgot his name, but I interviewed all call-outs are mandatory. Colbert was over there talking to somebody else. He comes into the trio. So I had Zab Judah, all call-outs are mandatory, and Chris Colbert. So I go to Chris. I said, Chris, it's good to see you down here, and you know everything. Dude just like was on some diva stuff, man. Like, I was fully committed to my sentence, to my question, to my opener with him. And I was about to ask him about his next fight. And that dude just walked away when he came up there, when I was talking to both his people, all call-outs are mandatory, and Zab Judah. I was conversing with them. I came up there. I acknowledged him respectfully. Boom. I say, and Chris Colbert, good to see you in the city. This, and this. Let's talk. And this dude kind of, you know, rolled his eyes like he was on some whatever and walked away. And Zab was like, you know how it goes, man. You know, grown men, we don't have to really verbalize it or whatever. We really don't have to verbalize the disagreement. But it was no reason he had to do what he did, because I never met the dude in life. But anyway, he acted the same way, man. When he went in there and fought Hector Garcia, running off, and then when he was talking crap about Deontay, you know, he's just a loudmouth individual. But I do understand how boxing is. A lot of loudmouth individuals that can fight. I'm looking at them for them fighting. But let's just say, for instance, I'm remotely connected to a fighter. I never met him in life, but I know they talk mad trash, but they can go in there and fight. They can go get in or whatever. I never had no connection with them. I'm always going to have that separation. I'm not going to be closely connected in a physical state of interviewing them, because I've never been there. All right. So I'm not attached in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes when I meet fighters, and you get a vibe of how they are as people in general. I'm talking about, this don't have anything to do with boxing. This has absolutely everything to do with how they are as an individual, how they treat other people. It's very important to me, because I've ran into fighters, and they give you that first impression. You're just like, nah, I ain't dealing with them no more. Forget that. I ain't dealing with them. And then you run into the ones like Chris Colbert. Say, I'm definitely never, it don't matter what he has going on in boxing, I'm never interviewing him again, period. I can separate a personality that's rambunctious and belligerent, vice a fighter who's in a sport, who's getting punched in the face, and they just don't have that, you know what I'm saying, that spirit, that energy to talk to you. They're just not friendly. They're not user friendly. You don't have to be user friendly in life. I mean, you can keep your distance and keep it moving. That doesn't mean you're arrogant, egotistical. No, What Colbert is just that he's arrogant and egotistical, no doubt about it. A very belligerent individual for no reason. For no reason, bro. But I totally agree with you on that, Blood. Totally agree with you on that. L Dog say, that's the NY in him. Rayo need his get back versus De Los Santos. Colbert needs to get back 130 versus the Santa Cruz or Albert Bell. Okay, L Dog. I'm glad you put that in the chat. All right. Yeah, I want to see Colbert go in there against Albert Bell. Albert Bell will destroy him. Yeah, go ahead. I want to see that. Absolutely. Put 6 foot plus. I done seen Albert Bell spar before. So like I said, sometimes you have connections with people that you see. And one of the most talented, educated curriculums that I've watched in sparring, for real, I'm talking about technique wise, is Albert Bell. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love to see Chris Colbert go in there and fight Albert Bell. Go right ahead. I'll pick Albert Bell before I put Leo Santa Cruz. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But furthermore, why are you separating him from the division where there's smoke? Come on. If you sign up to be a fireman, understand that you're gonna have to go into the heat. You're gonna have to go in where it's hot. Don't run. Don't run. Real talk, don't run. If you're moonlighting, back and forth 135 or whatever, let us know that. But if you really truly want to go back to 130 and say you want to beat up Hector Garcia, let's see you do it. Because last time I checked, Hector Garcia was up here, fighting Tank. And, that's somebody that you never stepped in there with. And he's not going to step in there with. Right? But at least he stepped in there with Tank. But yet, if you want to run it back with Hector Garcia, you go ahead and do it. Now, putting these guys against other fighters like De Los Santos, why? Why can't we get a rematch? Why don't fighters want to have a rematch? Clearly, it's a tough fight for both fighters, but more so Chris Colbert. So why not order a rematch, an immediate rematch? We've seen Dillian White, Alexander Povetkin. Dillian was winning the fight, and he gets knocked out. He get a rematch, right? I can go to more level, subtle reasoning, when it comes to Charlo and Brian Castano. They got a rematch. I mean, what's wrong with rematches? Why don't fighters rematch one another anymore? We're seeing, even though it's contractually agreed upon, it's not impossible to make. Devin Haney and George Cambozo, they had a rematch. Even though it was a clause, they rematched. It's not impossible to happen, bro. Make the freaking rematch. It's not impossible to happen. But I like how you put that in there, though. But what I don't agree with is that Colbert, pick or choose where you're going to be at. Like, even Tank fluctuates every now and then. He was at one point from 35 to 30. I don't mind that. But he knows majority of the big names are up here at 35. 35 is hot. HOTTTT. The lightweight division is hot right now, bro. So if he really want to establish himself as a hitter, or he want to pick up his first title, I would say if it's title that you want, go back down to 130. If it's a title that you're looking for, because you're not getting a title up at 135 anytime soon. I'm just saying. And if you want to face Albert Bell, go ahead. I'll be at the fight. Because Albert's going to put some funk on you, bro. Albert is definitely going to give you what you want. On Babies, he took his shirt off like he was about to go back in for seconds. For real, bro. Man, come on, man. In the hood, somebody taking their shirt off, you don't let them get it off, bro. That's just the rule, man. That's just the rule. That's just the rule. You know, first of all, you don't take your shirt off. And I mean that close to anybody in a contentious environment. That was contentious, obviously. Else he wouldn't have took his shirt off. Shout out to King Mitch, man. But much respect to El Rayo. I get where you was at with it. I get where you was at with it, bro. I think Rayo is a power puncher, but he isn't a finisher. He was too timid with Colbert at times. He's just coming off a third round knockout there, Blunts. Come on, bro. The man is coming off a third round knockout. Shouldn't he have some type of educated offensive strategy to delegate? Shouldn't he want to go in there and apply that curriculum the right way, get the credit with the win, and move on to the next field of study? I mean, come on, man. He did it very, very well. I commend him for not being a reckless risk taker in there, because he got stopped in the third round this last fight. Who was expecting that? I know I wasn't. I wasn't expecting him to get stopped in the third round. I wasn't expecting it, bro. Real talk. Rayo dropped De Los Santos after being dropped and punched while on the ground. Rayo definitely got power. He drops dude early in the round. He just don't know how to capitalize. Why wasn't there a rematch, though? Why wasn't there a rematch? It's not impossible just because you get knocked out. I talk about it all the time in mixed martial arts, how these fighters get knocked out as champions and they allow them the opportunity to get back into the cage and challenge for their title. Boxing is on some whole other, you know what I'm saying? Like, they do this one and done stuff now. Everybody don't get the trilogy. Everybody don't get the trilogy. It depends on who's calling for the fight, real talk. Like, I get what you're saying, but, and look, once again, this is boxing. De Los Santos hit the man in the head while he was down and nobody called it. Well, they should have had the referee that was in there when Roy Jones, you know, did it. They definitely seen that. I put Frank and Tank together because they both 135 as a PBC. Yeah, I understand. They can be under the same promotional or the same because PBC is not a promotion. They can be under the same umbrella, okay? But still, their names in the same sentence, nah. I mean, that's where I'm at with it, bro. I don't put them together in the same sentence just because they are residents at 135. There's a lot of fighters that's 135. I wouldn't hold them in the same dialogue if I'm speaking about matchups. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't put them in the same conversation. I would not ever put Frank Martin in the conversation with Gervonta Davis. He hasn't earned it yet. Tank will stop Frank Martin just like he stops everybody else. He will stop Frank Martin. Frank is not ready for Tank off a Michel Rivera and a Jackson Marinez. Let's be honest, bro. He's not ready. He's not ready. He need a bigger name. I'm not talking about a JoJo Diaz. He need a bigger name, man. He need a Keyshawn Davis who's coming up. You know, Chris Stevenson just got to the 135-pound division. He needs a name. You know what I'm saying? Like they put FR at the end of some of the, you know, some of the comments. FR. That's what he needs. He needs a name for real. I'm there. Sure don't feel sorry for real. Yeah, look, Mitch. I'm gonna tell you the way YouTube is right now. I'm gonna be skimming over your comments because I'm not. You know, if it's vulgarity and all that other stuff, I'm not doing it because they real picky on the Facebook type of stuff. So I'm gonna tell y'all now, if you putting obscenity and vulgarity in your comment, I'm not reading it out loud. I'm not, because they're pretty much demonetizing your videos based off obscenity, vulgarity, expressions, or whatever you want to call it. I'm just being real with you. They've changed everything up. So they pretty much on their Facebook type time now. And any little thing that's in the algorithm, they switching it up. So if indeed you just want to throw away a live stream and have ad suitability, or it not being monetized at all, well, just come out the box and just start yelling and screaming. I mean, they switching it up now. Rayo goal should be to get a fight with one of them guys. Of course, it'll be Frank before Tank, but you got to show the judges you can make an exciting fight, because if he in there with better guys, he get hurt. Rayo goal should be to get a fight with one of them guys. Of course, it would be Frank before Tank. Like I said before, bro, I don't know why you keep on attaching Frank before Tank and all that, because it rhymes and all that. They're blunts. I mean, why are you so heavy putting Tank's name with Frank Martin? Frank ain't did anything to be considered. You know, if I'm Tank Davis, I'm looking at Devin Haney. You know, I'm looking at Shakur Stevenson, 2-weight world champion. You know, I'm looking at other names that's up here. You know what I'm saying? The Ryan Garcias that's at a higher, weight. But nah, just because they're on the same banner, he don't belong in the same sense, bro. He ain't fought nobody. He's just attached to EJ, and that's it. That's all I get. A bulked up dude who would get his hands, who would get dealt with, being in there with a fighter like Tank. They're not even on the same stratosphere, bro. Shout out to Mark Nash TV on deck, to WCS and the neighbors in the chat. Salute to you, Mark. Oh, absolutely. He said, W says, you really want to see Keyshawn put those papers on Arrow boy Frank? Yeah, I want to see him, because how can it not be fair? Keyshawn Davis is a silver standard Olympian, right? Champion. He's making his way up the lightweight ladder too. He doesn't even have 10 professional wins yet. But you know how different the push is with the Olympian fighters. So it would be good to put him in there, with a Keyshawn, because Keyshawn been talking. He been letting it be known he want that smoke with Frank. Yeah, put him in there. Let's make the fight. Seriously, let's make the fight. They pushing him hard, man. Colbert better take his back to 130. Hey, when grown man act like I said before, if y'all not dressing up the vulgarity, I'm not gonna read your comment, man. I'm not gonna sit up here and get all my live streams, demonetized just because of words and characters. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can highlight it, you can acronym it, shorten it up. Having grown man act like that, I never support anyone I get that vibe from ever. Well, I happen to take advantage when fighters drop through the South, man, but not every fighter is going to be user friendly, so to speak. Well, but Colbert claiming he's a Mexican because his trainer is Mexican. See, I seen that, and you notice I didn't mention it because that is a common denominator with black boxers in the sport, that we will wear the colors of a Mexican fighter to attempt to win over their fan base. I always say, like, it's some blacks that do have a fan base out here, but one of the most talked about people, race of people in life, what is our flag? Because we can't use the African flag, because I'm telling you what I experienced while actively serving. They could be some of the most racist people. They would tell you straight up, you're not African. You didn't come from where I came from. Your hair is not the same like mine. Your nose is not shaped like mine. You have white in your genealogy, in your family tree. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Man, them Haitians, Black Americans are a different breed, man, a different group. You know, in boxing, they always wearing somebody else's colors. So if he wanted to, you know, I don't know what it is, man. That makes no sense to me. I'll tell you that. I mean, it's people that have trainers from all walks of life. That doesn't mean you're gonna wear their country's colors. You know what I'm saying? What if you had a trainer that was a Russian trainer? You're gonna go over here and wear Russian? You're gonna wear the Russian flag on your back? I want to see how that work out. I mean, come on. We all know Colbert, man. We already know how he get down. Code is a part of our culture that where respect is fundamental, where your kids are your friends, and it's cool to smoke and drink with them early in age, where it's cool to be uneducated. Colbert is a part of our culture that where respect isn't fundamental, where your kids are your friends, and it's cool to smoke or drink with them early in age, where it's cool to be uneducated. He does act like he has some areas of being uneducated. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can tell that Chris is very immature in certain pockets of his growth. And that can be many of things. That can be the people that he hang around, his environment. If you listen to the story on how he grew up, it is what it is. I'm not gonna speak on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna speak on it. What makes any person think they can act like whatever? I could never understand. What makes any person think they can act like that? I could never understand. People deserve to get treated by the energy they give off. Yes, sir. You know, first impression is everlasting. You know what I'm saying? First impression is everlasting. I'm not gonna lie. You meet somebody for the first time, especially in this media game, or just as a boxing fan in general, you walk up to them and they kind of give you the side eye. They give you the disrespect. Oh yeah. I mean, if you're grown man, you're not gonna just stand there and wait to see how it plays out. You're gonna keep it moving. I know I would. No doubt. The blood, that type of behavior is sucker. Let's see, Colbert was switching in the fight non-logically. His switching IQ, like Colbert was switching in the fight non-logically. His switching IQ ain't like a Bud Crawford or even on Boots level. I don't get it. I mean, he's a Philly fighter. So, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. The way Colbert looks at it is, you know, Philly at one point in time when it came to boxing, they had that bow tie respect. They did. They had the bow tie respect. But now Philly is trying to reclaim that notoriety right now when it comes to boxing. They're trying their best to reclaim it, man. Because, you know, they used to brag about, you know, fighters coming out of Philly. Seriously. Would you put Rayo in there, Cruz or Jermaine Ortiz? That'll be good matchups, man. That'll be good matchups. But it all depends. Like Jermaine Ortiz stepping in there with Vasil Lomachenko, gives him that certificate, that lightweight certification. Even though he took an L, he didn't get stopped, right? And then you look at Isaac Cruz, of course, he's been in there with the likes of Yorkis Gamboa, Gervonta Davis, and his last opponent. So Isaac Cruz is certified as far as when it comes to competition at the lightweight division. So it'll be absolutely up to Arroyo, being that I would say definitively that he won this fight against Colbert. That'll be a step-up fight. Either one of those guys for Arroyo to step in there with Isaac Cruz or Jermaine Ortiz, that'd be a step-up fight for him. Seriously. It'll be a step-up fight. Because I see Colbert having problems with the Isaac Cruz. His gas tank, how he loads up on almost every shot. Real talk. Frank Martin versus Isaac Cruz this summer. We need to see it. Africans don't really rock with blacks and Americans. No, they don't. Blacks in America, they don't. They don't at all. They don't. If Colbert identity as Mexicans, today's society says we have to treat him as such. Hey, man. Hey, he'll find out one way or the other. He's just building up the hype for the fight. It's all good. He was just building up the hype. Cool. But we got too many black fighters who wear the Mexican colors. And, it's not like the Mexican fighters respect that. They can't tell us to wear our own colors. We're in the middle. We busy donning the colors of fan bases that we trying to win over. You're not going to win over the Mexican fan base at the end of the day. They support their own heavy. They support their own heavy, period. Last night was the best I seen Colbert look in a while, in my opinion. It wasn't great, but he showed a lot of grit after getting knocked down. He did, Jones. I said it was a good fight. I said it was a good fight. You know what I'm saying? I said it was a good fight. Colbert showed his tenaciousness. He showed his resilience. You know what I'm saying? He was dropped and put in adversity early in the fight. He got up. He fought on. Like I said early in the live, I said I don't like him, but that don't mean I'm not going to show him love. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. And like I said before, those of you in the chat, you can take it however you want to take it. If you cannot articulate yourself enough to just speak without dropping vulgarity in there, your comment will not be read. Period. It's not that. Look, it's not that difficult just to type something in there, and you can even acronym or abbreviate it. But if I feel it's being done on purpose, I'm definitely gonna skip over all your comments. That's just the way it's gonna be. That's just the way it is. If you want to do it on purpose and you feel I'm joking around, I just skip over all your comments in the chat. It ain't a crime to put vulgarity in there. It's not. But if YouTube whole format is changing and they want to demonetize all your videos that they have some type of obscenities and you have to have limited suitability, hey, that works both ways, bro. If y'all grown people cannot type without dropping obscenities in there, something wrong. Something wrong. Next is gonna be time out, and you really gonna be on some other stuff then, So you can be like, oh man, I've been over here too long. Man, why are you doing that? I'm be like, bro, I'm reading. Some people won't even read your chat unless you drop a super chat. They won't even read it unless you drop in a super chat. But I ask y'all cats not even put it in the chat. It don't matter if you put it at the beginning or the end or the middle. That's what type of time I'm on right now. If y'all don't have enough articulation and maturity, if we can type in the chat without dropping obscenities, you don't have to be in my chat. How about that? You don't have to drop no comments over here. If I'm telling you YouTube is changing up the way they do business and everything else, and you continue to then type obscenities, then you don't respect the host. Let's get to the Caleb Plant situation. Caleb Plant lost his second professional fight, which a lot of you all don't think that's a big deal. But at the end of the day, this was a long-term grudge match, right? And, he finally was able to step in there with the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. Style makes fight. Style makes fights, right? So, being a style make fights, one advantage that Caleb Plant had heading in there with David Benavidez is that he had the opportunity to grace the square with Canelo Alvarez. 4-weight world champion, future Hall of Famer, Canelo Alvarez. Caleb Plant was 22-1 heading into this fight. He's only 30 years old, so he still has windows, opportunity. He still has windows. Benavidez was 26-0. He's been a world champion at the super middleweight division. But the animus between these two back in the day was pretty well documented. Benavidez felt like Caleb's team was talking trash about him. And then also on the flip side, Caleb felt that, Benavidez had mentioned, some very personal things about his family, his daughter dying and stuff like that. So it was real life, animus and contentiousness between these two. And, to the fact that Benavidez showed up at the gym where they was at and, they got into a scuffle, the teams. So over time, this has been talked about when they will ever step in the ring, when they would step in the ring. And from the time Caleb told me he was the easiest in the division, I never was able to see him step in the ring with him until last night. And it was a very, very entertaining fight when it came to both fighters and their activity, their output. Both of the fighters wanting to be there. But we seen the inconsistencies when it comes to a main event being elevated to another level. You know what I'm saying? When everybody's playing their part, the fighters are playing their part and they're giving you the energy and the action that you want. The referee is doing what they supposed to do. Okay. But that wasn't the case. We seen that Caleb Plant was on his bicycle early. And like I said on my live stream, I don't care if he was on his bicycle. It's boxing. Who say you can't move around? You can move around. But he was moving around and he was trying to bait Benavidez in early before the fatigue tried to set in. He was trying to bait him into a counter shot. He was trying to get him when he was fresh. And Benavidez didn't bite on it. He didn't bite on it. He was defensively sounded, accountable. And I like how he attempted to cut off the ring of Plant. But most of the time when Benavidez did close distance, Caleb will hold and clinch. And Kenny Bayless did not warn him about holding. He may have held over 20 times, man. I don't know. It was so many. But he held and clinched. And we've seen this happen before. What it does is allow your opponent very little opportunity to delegate any type of punishment towards you. Also, it can frustrate them into being impulsive, because once the ref do break you, that fighter, sometimes in the fight you've seen Benavidez, kind of get a little bit irritated. He got a little bit irritated. So he wanted him to be a little bit more anxious to close the distance so he can catch him. But Benavidez never really gave him that. So they boxed. Both of these fighters was able to land some good combinations. And if you seen early in the fight, Caleb Plant threw that same combination he knocked out Anthony Durrell with. He threw it early in the fight, y'all, when he was his fresh, man, when he had all his speed, man, because Caleb was looking sharp early in the fight. He threw the right to the body, left to the body, and up top, and Benavidez blocked that with ease. He did. He blocked it with ease. He seen it coming. I don't know if he was waiting, but he blocked it with ease, bro. And you didn't see it happen too much more, to the point where he said, "Oh, that was a hair off. Almost got you." No. Benavidez's defense was on point. He started to land his shots, and Caleb was hurt several times in that fight. I have to salute him for staying on his soles, man. He was able to stay on his soles. I thought he was going to be on his back a couple of times in that fight, but due to his clinch game, they worked on that, and they worked on that clinch game in boxing. That's what I try to tell people. I try to tell fighters all the time. You need to work on your clinch game. You need to work on your inside, your dirty boxing. Link up with a mixed martial artist and help them work on your clinch game on the inside, because that worked out amazingly for Caleb Plant. Amazingly for him, because he was out on his soles, bro. But he didn't go down because he was holding on for dear life. But as the fight went on, man, both fighters showed that they was there to bang it out. David started to make Caleb wear the fight. Like he wasn't predictable. I like how Caleb was stabbing the body of Benavidez. He probably thought he was a little bit soft in the midsection, because people still hold, this vision that Benavidez was a fat kid growing up, and he's just not working his core like that, But dang, Plant was stabbing him with that jab. He was doubling up on the jab. Pop, pop. He'd pop into the solar plexus and then pop him in the midsection, the breadbacks as they call it. And early rounds, like the rounds 1 through 4, 1 through 5 was very, very effective, man. I like the consistency. But Benavidez, man, he has that length on him, that range. He has that speed. He wasn't too reckless like I thought he would be early on. I thought he would take a little bit more risk, being that he had quick hands too. It seems like last night Caleb Plant had the sharper combinations in the first half of the fight. So you seen Benavidez have his success on the inside when Caleb was holding. He cross-faced him a little bit, and he started to kind of like not allow Caleb to get in and clinch and stop the movement. He would just like put an arm in between, separate him, and try to use his right hand to throw punches. And it started working out for him. Like in that one exchange when Caleb was clinching, I think he landed like 3 or 4 shots to the body and to wake Caleb up from grabbing a hold of him, because Kenny Bayless wasn't doing anything about it. And then you saw Caleb, land 2 low blows. Caleb was landing low blows in that fight. I can sit up here and say he was being dirty. I did think it was dirty for him to come out from that round when he was hurt and he automatically hit Benavidez with a low blow. You know what I'm saying? That's to slow a fighter down. Bayless haven't warned Plant about any clinching. So Plant comes out. I think he opens up the what? What round was that? The 8th? I think it was. He opens up the 8th round after being hurt bad. And he lands a low blow right out the gate, man. They wasn't even in the clinch. He walks up to him, boom, give him a cup shot. And all Bayless did is get these bulgy eyes, like, oh, don't do that again. Don't do it. Man, come on. That's not the first low blow he landed in the fight. Hey, Blunts, if you trying to strip us of free speech, if you think I'm trying to strip you of free speech, you obviously didn't hear what I said. I say just word it differently. You can say what you want. I just won't read it. I'm not, look, put it this way. If I'm engaging in the audience, what does it have to do with free speech? And you're talking about a social media platform. So you're going to put it off on me like I'm trying to strip you or something. If people have channels that are monetized, right? And they're changing the format, what does it have to do with me? I just explained to you that YouTube has changed it up, just like on Facebook. Facebook suspends you very easily, especially after Mark Zuckerberg had to go in front of the commission to explain why he isn't promoting hate, right? So I'm putting it out there like YouTube is changing this up. So you put all the time and the effort, and people aren't really giving, it's up to them voluntarily to give you support, a super chats or whatever, right? But in order for your video to be monetized over and over again, they're making it a bit more sensitive to the way you verbalize. So it's not me stripping you of the freedom of speech. You can say what you want in the chat. I'm just not going to highlight it, or am I going to speak on it? If you want to drop F-bombs and use obscenities, that's just the way it's going to be, brother. I don't own YouTube. So you feel free to say what you want to say to the people in the chat, but I'm not going to be speaking on it. I'm not going to get all my live streams demonetized just off repeating people that's grown adults and know how to speak sensibly. It don't have anything to do with me. I mean, y'all can take it however you feel. It's all good. You can think it's funny or whatever. Y'all can do how. I'm just gonna skip over that, just like I'm running in for a layup. I'm gonna skip right over it. Hey, take it as you may. It don't have nothing to do with WCS. It has something to do with YouTube. I see Caleb trying to throw the same combo he threw with the rail. It was not hitting the same. He attempted to land it. He attempted to throw that combination, and David Benavidez blocked it pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, y'all, if you want your freedom of speech, go ahead and say what you want. Hey, say what you want. I'm just going to skip over it, bro. It's all good. I want to be a part of the game, too. If you don't respect me enough to acronym it, or whatever, then so be it. It's all good. I'm not going to sweat it. I need David to use his jab more. His pressure and pace will be even more devastating with the jab going on. I still think Canelo whoop him, but it's a good fight. Canelo ties as well. Let's see if Canelo gives him a fight, man. And I agree. Canelo does tire. But I need to see how Benavidez handled the Canelo pressure. You know what I'm saying? We'll see how Benavidez handled that Canelo pressure, because obviously Canelo, he is one of those fighters that love going to the body. Caleb was going to his body more so with the jabs, and Benavidez over time, he did slow himself. But he didn't slow because of the jabs to the body, in my opinion. He slowed from trying to knock Caleb out. When he did get off with the multi-punch combinations, he did get off. Hey, that takes energy. You know what I'm saying? That takes energy. I feel where you're coming from. I'm just saying, Blunts. This is not the first platform. I said this months ago that YouTube will not be the same. So you know, get comfortable with whatever you got going on. Get comfortable because YouTube is not going to be the same. They're going to start switching stuff up, you know, to basically minimize the amount of revenue channels are getting on here. They're going to make it much more difficult, and that's exactly what's going on right now. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you can put it on the GV, but it is what it is when it comes down to just typing. You know, just typing in general. What's going on the XO Factory on deck? OG, I'm on deck, big bro. Just tapped in and smashed the like button when I came through the door. No doubt. Shout out to the XO Factory in the building. Appreciate you pulling up as always, brother. But with this fight right here, let me get this. Let me take this down because I'm done talking about these dudes. But with this fight right here with Benavidez and Caleb, I like the output, but I do believe with the holding and the low blows, multiple low blows by Caleb Plant, he was applying some dirty tactics. And it was up to Kenny Bayless to, you know, mediate that and prevent it from getting out of control. And I think it was too many of them that was landed. But Benavidez inside, he was just like, nah, I want to keep on fighting. And then not to mention how Benavidez was able to hurt Caleb bad. And Bayless separated the fighters and took him over to the corner to look at a small little cut that was over his brow. It was over his brow. It wasn't even in his brow. It was over his brow. It was a star. It was a star cut. It was a three slit star cut. And he stopped the action to take him over there and check the cut out. Just like you know, the situation with Yordenis Ugas, but that was more so to get the fight stopped. This is more so to take a break because Caleb was hurt bad, and you know, Benavidez had that momentum going for him. He allowed him a little bit more opportunity. So when I talk about them opening up, I think it was the 8th round when he was hurt bad and came out and he hit him with a low blow right off the rip. And Bayless just got big eye. Oh, stop it. Don't be doing that. Hey, bro, you did a poor job, man. Bayless did a poor job in that fight. You know, thanks to Bayless, Plant was able to get some reprieve throughout the fight. And that's what it was, man. Like, he was able to, you know, get a second win when he was hurt and fight on. Was I trying to push for Caleb to get? No, I just wanted the momentum to continue to build up and build up and build up and see who would fall. And it just seems like Benavidez, in my opinion, was getting to a point where he was breaking down Plant. But Plant showed his durability. He showed his resilience. Mad respect for Caleb for hanging in there by all means necessary. Caleb Plant stayed in there, didn't get knocked down. He stayed in there and finished and answered the final bell, man. That in itself that just goes to show you how a beef or something personal as that drives you just a bit more than just going in there fighting your opponent. You know what I'm saying? It seems like people will say, well, guess what? Canelo Alvarez, you know, shoved him and he went back and slapped him. That will have the same effect. In my opinion, no. Because that happened, you know, on the face-off to me to build a fight or whatever. This was long-standing, bro. Benavidez and Plant. This has been long-standing. This was long-standing, man. This has been going on for years. So they had to see each other in the square, and that's exactly what happened. Caleb got beat up I know Benavidez dropped some bombs on him, and if you look at the 11th round, I think the 10th or 11th round, when Benavidez kind of looked up at the ceiling like you do when you say, "Man, I threw everything I had. I landed some hard shots on him. He's still standing." You know what I'm saying? You'll see him kind of show a little bit. He breaks his poker face. Like Benavidez said, "Man, I hit this dude with everything I can hit him with." And he wouldn't go down. And it was in the process of him, taking in some deep breaths too. Because he dumped a lot into that exchange. He tried to get him up out of there. And then it seems like in the 12th round, man, Caleb Plant, he had his second win. And he was able to survive enough to make it to the final bell, where both of these guys, they pretty much squashed it. They pretty much leveled the hammer, lowered the hammer, let bygones be bygones. They pretty much handle it in the ring as men, as gladiators. And from my understanding, inside the square, it was like, okay, respect. But still, with Benavidez, I get the impression that, nah, man, it's never going to be good between us, period. I don't have to see you, really. You're over there in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm all the way over here and on the West Coast. I won't have to worry about you. I'm moving on to bigger things. So Benavidez potentially may face Canelo. I don't know. I would like to see him face Canelo or, whoever else is up there. If they give him Charlo, which I don't want to see. I don't want to see Charlo moving up. I don't want to see him. Like, peep this out. He just went in there with Caleb, a former world champion who'd been in there with Canelo. So to me, he stepped his game up again, Benavidez, right? Right? Check this out. Caleb stepped in there with Canelo Alvarez, the reigning defendant, undisputed. And then he stepped in there with David Benavidez, who never lost his belt. He was never defeated for his WBC world title. So in my opinion, Benavidez has stepped his game up by fighting Caleb Plant, who was in there with Canelo Alvarez. It's a common opponent. Now for Charlo doesn't have a common opponent at 68. We can't even say he has Demetrius Andrade because he had a grudge for years upon years, similar to what Benavidez and Plant had. But this was more so Andrade supposedly doing bad business. Okay, so if we're going to continue to hear black fighters talk about each other doing bad business, right? That's what we continue to hear, this grudge match about black fighters being mad at each other and holding grudges forever for some stupid. Now you're in a position where you need to fight. If you're moving up to 68 and you hear your name being, not mentioned, and people not even really caring about what you got going on because it's personal, and they feel like you're just losing it. Now you got to fight him. Now Demetrius Andrade may be a fighter that you need to go in there and fight. I don't want to see Benavidez fight Charlo in his first fight up to 168. You know why? Because he was just on record over there begging for a fight with Dimitri Bivol. I don't want to see Charlo in the ring with Benavidez, because Benavidez is not going to get any more credit than he already has defeating Caleb Plant by fighting Charlo in a step up in the division fight. He's not going to get any credit for that. He gets no credit for that. He go in there and wipe out Charlo. So what? Have Charlo fight a former constituent at 160 pounds that he never fought. Have him fight Demetrius Andrade at, right off the gate. Link that up. But for Charlo to come out there and think it's that easy. No, y'all been calling out Canelo, bro. You've been calling out Canelo. You wouldn't even mention the Mexican Monster when Mike Tyson, you was on this podcast. You wouldn't even mention his name, bro. Mike said, call his name, say his name, say his name. You wouldn't even say the man's name. You wouldn't even say the man's name, bro. But now all of a sudden you show up and you want to take the limelight and say that I want to fight Benavidez, win or lose. No, bro. No, Benavidez. Stall him out. Stall him out, bro. Forget that. Forget that. This man was just the same person that was saying you weight bullying. You should be at light heavyweight. No, stall him out there, Benavidez. Don't even give Jamal Charlo the time of day, bro. Stall him out. Let Demetrius Andrade, look, both him and Maul Charlo are two-weight world champions. Let them fight it out. Both of them are two-weight world champions. Let them squabble. Y'all had too much fun last night from undercard to main card. Caleb gassed out, though. That is obvious now. Mad respect for both, though, and love. Yeah, it was a good fight, man. It was some dirty tactics that was going on with Caleb. But that's boxing, though. I mean, it's boxing for real. It was up to the third man in the ring to recognize that and put a stop to it, but he didn't. He didn't do it, bro. Plant showed us he was in the 9th and 12th round. Plant showed us who he was in the 9th and 12th round. He got beat up bad in the 8th and 11th, but fought even harder in the next rounds. He did, man. Man, he showed resilience. Real talk. He showed toughness. You know what I'm saying? He showed heart of anything, courage, all that. All those words of motivation that somebody needs when they're going through the fire. And that's what Plant did. You know, he got beat up something bad. And he's probably looking worse today. But what he did, he showed he wasn't no quitter. He showed he wasn't no quitter. He showed that his wife was ringside and he wasn't going to go out on his shield like that. Seriously. I ain't going out on my shield. I'm going to fight to the end. Now it should be David versus Canelo. David earned a shot. Hope they do the brother right. I hope it's David and Canelo too. Forget what Jamal Charlo's saying. Several months ago, you wasn't even calling out no David Benavidez. You was just making excuses just like your brother when it comes to Terrence Crawford. These Charlo brothers have to understand that's the way it is right now. That's the same energy I get of Ryan Garcia when he was ducking all them fighters at 135. You say you wanted Tank, but yet you wouldn't fight him. But now all of a sudden you have to go on a parade to get Tank's attention, right? You have to go on a whole parade, an excursion to lock in a fight with Tank, and then go on a press tour complaining about the details of the contract. I gave Ryan the same energy I'm giving the Charlos, bro. When somebody's calling y'all out or basically saying this is who you should fight, no, you don't like that. You saying the man should be at 175. They should kick him out of 168. You think I forgot about that, Jamal? You say they should kick him out of 168. They should put him in the light heavyweight rankings. So it'd be cool for you to move up without facing him. That's what you wanted. You want a smooth entry. No, man. Some people say that's some coward type behavior that's going on. Like you lack the courage. I was looking at it, but it wasn't a priority. You know what I'm saying? Like I was more so catching the PBC card, believe it or not. I did tune in here and there, you know, but that was it. Why? Look, if he, hey, Jones, if he was looking for Andrade, make it worth our while. Real talk. If you're looking for Andrade, what were you gonna say when you ran into him? What were you gonna say? Were you going to give some content like to let the fans know that this is what we've been waiting on. Finally, they face to face. Mar Charlo is desperate for an opponent because he needs to check. The first place you should go looking is Demetrius Andrade. Easy. That's an easy connection. Team Canelo might want that franchise, the path of least resistance. Plus, he has Bivol problems. Solid point. Solid point. But at this point in his career, right, that L Dog, that's a solid point. It wouldn't benefit Canelo to do that to David Benavidez. It really wouldn't, bro. It would be all bad. It would be all bad for Canelo. Being a lot of people felt that he did it for Charlo back in the day, right? It would be all bad for him to soil a potential matchup between him and Benavidez after, you know, boxing has ordered, right? You have the WBC ordering this to happen. So if the WBC is going to order this to happen, you have to take it to the finish line. We have to see the finale. The finale is Benavidez finally getting his shot. Now, why have this fight between him and Caleb if after John Ryder you have some else up your sleeve to say, well, Canelo Alvarez want to get back with Dimitri Bivol because he's a much bigger name. And then when it comes to Canelo and his legacy and his whole entire reflection on his career, the losses that he do have on his boxing ledger, if he goes into retirement unable to just defend one of them, to try to revisit one of them for a rematch, I think with Canelo Alvarez right now, he understood a long time ago he wasn't getting Floyd. But this Bivol is a silent but deadly type of opponent. Bivol has did enough in defeating Canelo and Gilberto Ramirez back to back to be a silent but deadly type of fighter. Enough to the point he's built up momentum in his Wall Street for Canelo to say, you know what, this interests me a little bit more to go back and try to get a win off Bivol. I don't want to go in retirement and my two losses, I never was able to go back and try to run it back. I think it's easier for Canelo at this point in time to say, I want to fight Bivol. Bivol's still young enough for the respect to be there amongst the fight fans. He hasn't lost. Even though I would like Bivol to fight Beterbiev, yeah, I would definitely watch Canelo and Bivol. But I want Bivol to stand his ground and have Canelo come back up to 75. Don't make it easier for Canelo. But hey, again, we're talking about boxing, right? Money talks. Money talks. They didn't touch gloves before the fight, but they touched before the 12th. And they embraced several times after the fight. Beef over respect, gained on both sides. I agree with that. They did what they had to do, but I just think, you know, when it comes to the Mexicans, when it comes to the deep animosity that Jose Benavidez has, you know, you got to look at Jose Benavidez. He was the one that was in front. He was the older brother. He was the one that was leading the charge with the trash talking. And when they stepped up, Jose Benavidez ain't no punk, man. Um, and I don't see them burying the hatchet. And it's easy for them not to bury the hatchet because they don't really have to deal with Caleb anymore. I see where you're coming from, though, but they really don't have to bury the hatchet. You know, like, yeah, they can say, okay, we got in there, we scrapped it out. We good as far as me mentioning your name disrespectfully in the media. You feel me? Like, I still think it's always going to be something there. You know, Caleb, the one that put his finger in his carotid artery. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he made it even worse. And plus, you got to look at the Pops. You got to look at Pops. Pops don't like it. Pops ain't buried the hatchet. He just was being a sport about it. Pops ain't buried the hatchet. His two sons, they might have put the hatchet over there on the shelf, but it's always there for accessibility. You know what I'm saying? Hey, L-Dog said Maul all cap, man. I believe you. I'm not even gonna argue about that, man. Real talk. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt about it. Canelo next for Benavidez. He should go ahead and get Andrade in the ring. I think they can put that on pay-per-view. The undercard is solid. Fundora versus Ramos. Maybe Boots versus Crowley or Villa. I definitely like, Boots versus Crowley or Villa. I would rather say Boots fight Villa than Crowley, in my opinion. Crowley's tough, but if you want to talk about, the momentum, of course they're going to give Villa the momentum off his win off Rashidi Ellis. So I want to see Villa in there. Plus, I like his style, man. I mean, he has that Isak Cruz type of style with a bit more imposing power a little bit. Plus, he's a taller fighter. I like Crowley, but Crowley's style is tailor-made for Boots to shine like a diamond, in my opinion. Fundora versus Ramos, I like that. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I like that. Real talk. Fundora, he's going to try to stay and Skeletor his presence at 154 for as long as possible before he moves up to 160. Serious. He's going to walk around as a skeleton forever and a day at 154. But man, Ramos is a problem, bro. Ramos is a problem. You saw how much he was oversized from the smaller Joey Spencer. And anybody heard me talk about the fights with Joey Spencer, this was long overdue, with Joey Spencer getting stopped. Joey Spencer was in development stages the entire time. That's all. And he's a tough dude, man. I ain't gonna lie. Joey Spencer's tough, bro. Joey Spencer's tough. He's too tough for his own good. But if you're not too tough for your own good, that means you're a quitter. For real. He's too tough for his own good. He'll continue to stay in the fire no matter how hot it get, and fight and fight and fight and get punished and punished and punished. And though he might have some times where he starts to improve a little bit, he's gonna take more damage and more damage and more damage. I mean, that's just his mindset. He's a tough dude, man. But I put it out there, like several fights ago, that Joey Spencer wasn't that good of a fighter yet. He's still developing. And I'm glad his corner stopped the fight. I'm glad, because Ramos was too much, man. Ramos was too much for Spencer. He was too much for him, man. He was too much for that dude. Man, Villa versus Crowley would be a good fight. It would be a good fight. But if we're talking about like momentum based off Crowley's fight last night, vice Villa fight off Rashidi Ellis. I mean, you're talking about an Argentinian fight. I think Villa from Argentina, right? Something like that. You're talking about him coming off one black fighter in Rashidi Ellis. You know how boxing is. Oh, he defeated Rashidi Ellis. Let's see how he does against Boots. Let's see, can Boots do it? You know how boxing always try to build up these rivalries. That's why I said I'd like to see Villa versus Boots. because style for style, Villa is about that smoke. Crowley is about the smoke, but as you look at his eyes, I'm just saying, Crowley got beat up too, man. He got beat up in there too. Villa looked like he could have went out to dinner immediately. He didn't need an ice pack or nothing. I want to see Crowley versus Boots. I want to see Boots handle that pressure. I'm pretty sure they're gonna lock it in pretty good. I'm pretty sure Boots, whoever he fights next, they're gonna lock it in the way it's supposed to be. I like how Ramos looked versus Spencer. Had the high guard with that humpback tearing Spencer up. He put that work in on Spencer, man. Joey Spencer, man, good dude. I've seen him in person several times. Good dude, man. He's just too tough. He needs to work on some things. Real talk. He needs to work on some things. That's all. Anybody that had Joyce winning, going that fight, doesn't know ish about boxing. I knew after watching one from each fight that Ramos would stop Spencer. Bad matchup. He had to take a step up fight, man. He had to, keep the competition going in because he had a name. He had muscle, but he was still a smaller 54. He's just big enough not to struggle to make 147, and then small enough to campaign seriously with the size and strength at a super welterweight, 154. Unless you just got that Tank Davis dynamic, unless you got that Deontay Wilder dynamic, where you can be small in a weight class and you possess the power as the equalizer. Oh, man, I like that. And you can't forget about bad news. Yeah, I like that. Conwell versus Ramos. I like that. And that might be a fight they make in the future. You know what I'm saying? That might be a fight they make in the future because Conwell is definitely looking for a next level fight. And Ramos coming off Spencer is not exactly. Look, I'm not gonna be hypocritical and say that him going in there stopping Spencer did him all the justice in the world. I mean, that's just like me giving Frank Martin credit for defeating Michelle Rivera. I mean, come on. They was both up and coming fighters. So now the next time out, let's see who Frank Martin's going to fight. Let's see who Ramos is going to fight. I like that matchup, though. You know what I'm saying? I like that matchup. Conwell and freaking Ramos. Yeah, I like that. Definitely. Conwell would definitely give him the pressure they're looking for. And in my opinion, he has the strength. As we saw Ramos was walking through Joey Spencer's power. He was walking through it. He was walking through that power, bro. Man, I think that woman put a root on Maul. Benavidez draws in the yard and put pins in the dog type. Maul out there sounding like he on antidepressants. I want to see him get right and pursue greatness and stop hiding behind the business of boxing. Is it really a business of boxing if your girl is on social media saying your house is going to be foreclosed on and you got personal stuff to deal with? At this point in time, if you're not dealing with her no more, I mean, you and your wife is divorced or separated, whatever the case may be, then I don't know. I just felt it was a little bit out of desperation for him to come out and say he'll fight David Benavidez, win or lose. That means it's no options. You willing to take anything they give you. And that to me seems like the exact same thing you was doing with Dimitri Bivens' conversation. You was up there talking to the man about belts that you didn't have. You was talking about fighting for undisputed at 68 when you don't even contend at 68. Something ain't right. Something ain't right here. You was talking like something ain't right. Something just ain't right. You know, something ain't right here. Now people looking at it like, no. Fight Caleb Plant. Mar Charlo. Fight Caleb Plant. Fight Demetrius Andrade. Come on, both of you and him have 2 divisions where you've earned titles. Fight a common opponent of Benavidez. That's what I want to see. Fight a common opponent in Benavidez, bro. Truth be told, fight a common opponent. Fight Caleb Plant. Fight somebody just moving up there like Andre. Yeah, do that. Yeah, I thought Mel was being zesty, but guess it could be. I mean, Maul. Man, I don't know, man. Like even when the camera was zoomed in on him, like I don't know. Biggie Malls, man. I don't know. Him and his brother wouldn't even sing together, I don't think either. They wouldn't even sing together. I give Frank credit for handling Rivera the way he did. He dominated what he said to be 50-50 fight. I was impressed. A lot of people said Rivera winning. I didn't have Rivera winning, but I'm just saying I got to keep it like as neutral as possible when it comes to credit being given for a fighter who was just being built up. Like he was just being built up. He didn't have a championship. He didn't have any of that. He just looked like Muhammad Ali, and people wanted to, and his name is actually Ali. You know what I'm saying? So they were just giving him the credit of looking like a legend, an all-time great. You know what I'm saying? So that's more so the momentum I was looking at from Frank Martin getting off Michelle Rivera. I look at Joey Spencer. They was building, hyping him up. And, you know, he had to push in the back. But Ramos is just walking through his power shots. I mean, it was really no moment in the fight where Joey Spencer was gaining the edge. You know, he was just too small. He didn't have enough power. And when he was dropped for the first time, hey. I say business boxing pertaining to Maul because he's big time a few guys and potential fights in the name of business because he's a champ. Yeah, some of those fights could have been made and good for boxing. I agree. I mean, that's him and his brother when it's beneficial for them to add business to it. Like we're talking about 2 twins who couldn't really do anything when they fought on the same night. They try to split up the main event to 2 different fights, 2 different fight cards, which is crazy. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying with that. I totally get what you're saying. And man, y'all hit the like button on your way out. Appreciate y'all pulling up. I'm about to bounce. Salute to everyone that pulled up in the chat. Man, hit the like button, man. You know, start showing support. Like I said, you know, YouTube is changing up everything about the game, and it was to be expected. You know, it was to be expected. But, you know, as far as putting the work in and everything, yeah, I can get on here and I can talk my ish sometime too. But see, when I do it, it's going to have to be one of those live streams where I'm just going to throw it in the recycle bin, and I don't care too much about it. You know, but if anyone of y'all that has a channel that's monetized, you know what I'm talking about, because you're gonna find out how they just. Let's just say you have 15,000 videos. They going through and they demonetizing it and freaking limited suitability and all that. And you're like, why? And you got to go back and revise all that. You got to put the monetization, this, and you got to do all the administrative logistics. I'm telling you. Oh man, it's crazy, dog. Let me see. No doubt, Jones. You too, bro. You too. Maul need to get past Kostagi or Ramar Angulo if he wanted to test the waters. Hey, I agree to all that. But I'm just saying names like really Kostagi, like if he's a champion at 160 and he want to move up to 68 and really set it on, put it on notice a little bit. Do he really want to fight Kostagi? I mean, after Lionel Thompson beat Kostagi down in Atlanta, like Angulo, yeah, but you have some undefeated fighters right there for your access. You have the Demetrius Andrade right there, right? You have a former super middleweight champion in Caleb. I mean, you have some names there for you. Besides Benavidez, if I was Benavidez, I'd be like, you wasn't even mentioning my name months ago. Even when the legend himself, Tyson, told you to say the names, he's like, man, he ain't no Mexican monster. I mean, you wouldn't even show the man no love. That's all I'm saying. These Charlos pick and choose. This man, look, Maul Charlo was just a fighter who was talking about he wanted Canelo. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to get a fight with Canelo. And then he was saying that he'd come down to 154 and fight Terrence Crawford. This dude was everywhere, dog. Come on, stop the madness, dog. Man, y'all hold it down, man. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. Shout out to the supporters. Salute. Turn up and tune in to WCS. I'm out.